What do you think? What do you think, Ray? What do you think Ray would say over a game of pool? What do you think the single biggest thing in diligence, Brian?
And Ray loves pool.
I'll tell you what I'd say. Liabilities are like landmines. They're all over the place. Brad's got it right. One day, a deal makes sense. Next day, you step wrong and the whole thing blows up. Nice break. 12 ball, corner pocket. 14 ball, cross side. 11 ball, side pocket. My advice? Deep dive the financial trends. Not just today. Where's it headed? Sliding downhill or on an upswing? 9 ball, side pocket. 13 ball, corner pocket. That rosy bow on the present might be the front door to disaster.
Most of the lessons I've learned have been hard.
Well, it's not just selling a product, it's selling anything.
My mom came home and said, I heard they're having clown college auditions, and I told my mom, good luck, go get them.
Time to catch up with the CEO Bros after hours. The conversation continues.
I'm sitting sitting next to the Neiman brothers tonight. So it's
kind of like,
you guys are bringing this
is it
color.
that bright?
Part two.
It's gotta be
Welcome,
the light.
part
I
two.
thought you were talking about the reflection off our head.
Well, yeah, that's all three. Yeah, that's all three.
It's like
So the
windows,
big question tonight is: are we talking to the next CEO of Baldi's Billiards? Because we are on part two of buying a business.
Did you buy it during the week?
We did not.
He
No,
did not buy
okay.
Billiards.
We're evaluating,
We're
though, and I think that's
Let's talk
what we're
about
talking
that.
about.
Right. So
Let's talk
we're going to
about
talk about
the-
more process. We talked already about the questions, why you want to do it. The questions asked, how am I going to pay for this? Now we're going to talk about process.
Yeah, we talked about what kind of business is right for you and location and price and size and where you get the money and all that. Now we're assuming you're at the point where you've found the business for whatever reason you want it and whatever you plan to do with it. Now it's
Can we talk about a quick
Make
question
an
that comes
offer.
up though? So it applies to the business I'm evaluating now, but also just any business. Like, why is this owner
for-
selling?
Yeah.
that's a great question to
What's
ask.
going on? Because as
That's a
soon as you're
great
buying, you're
question
like,
to ask.
this is a great business. I'm so excited about it. I'm passionate about it. I think I'm going to make it successful. But ready to go 100 miles an hour, and you go, wait a second. Why is this owner selling?
Gotta ask that question.
What's going on? So I mean, I think we should
Ideally,
start
they're
there.
retiring successfully and moving to the Bahamas or something because the business has done so well, and they can't wait to see some young buck take it over and live the same kind of life.
Is the business
but
trending?
those are rare.
Is the business trending downhill?
So is it a red flag if you're the only person looking to buy the business?
That's a good
Could
question. I
be.
mean, is the neighborhood changing? Is
how long has it been for sale?
is there been a lack of interest at the business?
I mean, the neighborhood's a big one. If you're talking again, retail, hospitality, a location type business, not a service business or an online business, then the neighborhood stuff's really important. Is this an up and coming neighborhood? Are people moving in? Are property values going up? Is the town or the county or whatever
Coalescing
improving?
around these businesses.
Or
Are
is
stores
this-
closing around it?
Right, because
Yes.
that could be the owner sees like, oh man, this used to be a great area. And now, the malls are closing and, crime is up and property values are flat. And
We did talk the last episode too, is when you have a situation where you're trying to start a business or you're buying a business that keeps floundering in the same spot, right? But let's look at it on the flip side. So the business I'm evaluating has done well at its current location for quite some time, in a great location. The business owner is older and retiring. And there's a lot of upside opportunity to the business. And so that's part of the reason why. Am I ready to go all in 100%, be the sole investor? No, but with a couple other partners, one that could be a managing partner of the business and run it day to day, or I don't have to take such an active position in it, but I'd still like to be involved. It's something worth consideration. But there is the due diligence that goes on in evaluating whether or not this is a business that I want to be involved in. I think that's what we're going to talk about today.
my first question for you was going to be, how are you going to value this business? How are you going to come up with an offer price?
Well, they have an asking price.
Okay.
So that starts at
So then how do you confirm that that's a decent price?
right. So it's basically right now, what's interesting about it is it's a building and a business.
Which
so
is
we're
good.
so we're evaluating it on what the real estate comps are for that building and what could be done with the building and everything related to the building, and then separate and aside, what's the business doing, what kind of revenues, what kind of expense, what kind of profitability are they looking for? A major, is it 2x, 3x, 5x?
Yeah, what are they
profitability?
basing their asking price on?
And it's pretty reasonable. So when you look at
is there anything else in the building or just this business?
It's just this business.
Just this business.
And
Interesting.
so when you look at it from the full perspective of the owner that's there, the business that's already been operating there and its success, its location, its upside. A lot of the upside I see is not like that's stuff that like you go, I'm going to offer some completely different service. It's a pool hall.
Mhm.
It serves food and drink. And it's a pool hall. So it's not going to all of a sudden change from being a pool hall, but there's definitely things you could do to enhance the space because it's not crammed in some little place. It's got a pretty big floor plan. So there's definitely some different things that can be added to just enhance the experience or keep the customer on site. And so that's one of the things we're evaluating as we kind of do the deep dive and do the diligence on this.
I would think one of the first things you're going to look at, I mean, any business that you're going to buy is who are the customers or what are the customers? What's their demographics, psychographics? I mean, is this leagues? Is this just people coming in off the street? Is this?
So it's a frequent home for tournaments. It's a frequent home for leagues. So it's got a reoccurring customer base that comes in during the week and on the weekends. It hosts regional tournaments, and so it's
again, that's a big part of buying versus building. Yeah, it's got built in. People way underestimate how much it takes to generate that kind of clientele and that kind of regular business.
Yeah, because you're not if you're starting, let's say for instance you want to start with something brand new, shiny building, brand new, shiny pool tables. You put it in a location, but no one knows about it.
Nobody knows about it. You got to spend a lot of money to create awareness.
It's tough to get it going, create awareness, and then you got to pour a lot of money into marketing and advertising. There is a built-in customer base that is a consistent customer base. And a lot of times I talk about with businesses is get something that you've got a reoccurring revenue stream that's coming in. They've already got built-in leagues, built-in tournaments, and they don't have additional things they can add like dart boards, dart leagues, video gaming, bands.
Slot machines? Do they have the gambling machine?
They have a gambling machine. The gambling machine's doing great, but they only have one.
One?
She
Wow.
said that she wanted to invest in more. She just hasn't got any more. So,
and you know how to run leagues because you play in a lot.
I play in them, right.
So it's not like you come in, they've got leagues, and all of a sudden you kill the leagues. Like that could be, what makes a successful tournament.
But here's the thing. So what's really interesting about this is I could rattle off probably 15 things why I'm completely excited about the business. And so are you both saying, it's got this, this is, why aren't you jumping in? I'm still 50-50 because of the diligence material I'm seeing, which I get reservations about. Okay, if I'm going to go spend, even as a passive investor or a minority investor or a majority investor, I'm going to invest in a business that for $1 million plus business that the financials are not compiled in a manner that I would think would be appropriate for that size business. It's a concern of mine. And now part of it is old school, old school running the business, an older person running the business probably never really got acclimated to those types of financial programs. But at the same time, it's still concerning when you get things on the back of an envelope versus audited financials. So
a lot of times stuff like that is a cash basis business. And
so,
but
I mean, it's just the reality of business.
So you talk about some of the other
yeah.
diligence items that are involved. Okay. So think of it from the standpoint of all right, does this business have, put the pool hall aside for a second, any business, does the business have an employee or some member of the team that is an absolute integral, critical part of the business for it to be successful? Is that person going to be there? I'll give you a great example. We grew up eating Sarkies was it
I went
Glenview?
there 2 months ago. I took a picture and sent you.
And Sarkis was this famous, I don't know if he was Armenian or if he was Greek or what he was, but he started this little diner on the north side of Chicago. Everybody in the north side, loyal high schoolers and things like that would know about it. But he had a chef that was there for like 25 years, Santiago. And everybody knew the chef as well as they knew the menu. And so I would deem, now the business is still successful whether he's there or not. But when you're evaluating the business or purchasing a business, was Santiago somebody, if you're buying that business, he's got to be a part of it if you buy it, or does the business flop with him not being there? In the case of Sarkis, it did well with or without him. But you got to evaluate.
They built that reputation though. Think of Saturday Night Live, the cheeseburger, Pepsi, in one of those places. They tell you what to eat. You don't really order off the menu. You order your disaster sausage, your Hamleretta.
Yeah, Brian, I don't know if you ever ate there.
I did. Place. You guys brought me there.
I have to give a plug to that place because you could order the same items every day of the week and get a different price because there was no menu and there was no price board. It was just like, I think you're going to pay me $28, and people would just pay it because everybody loved the food so much. So,
well, you're right about key employees. I mean, most businesses, it's either a salesperson or the person who's managing the branding and the marketing, or in some businesses, it's an operations person who just knows how everything works and what to do when it goes wrong. That's a key. When you look at a business, you're looking at assets and you're looking at liabilities. And assets, can be more than just software and pool tables and machinery. It can be people.
Yes.
And have you talked to any of he's at 50-50 for 2 episodes. Let's see if we can even move him just 1%.
By the third episode, he's going to own this thing and we're going to be playing pool there.
And Howard, did you talk to anyone there?
No, I have not done. We're not far enough into diligence yet. We've signed an NDA. Do you know what an NDA is?
I did. Non-disclosure.
Yes, non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm basically committing, or I'm signing an agreement that says I'm not going to share any personal or confidential information about the business. That's why I'm not giving.
Except on the podcast,
right? No, but I'm not giving the name of it. I'm not providing any financials.
Right.
I'm not giving.
No, are you guys using a broker? Is he using a broker? Or are you dealing direct?
We've dealt with him directly.
Okay.
So that's another.
And you found him directly? Like somebody knew he was selling it?
Yeah, we found out through back channels, which was interesting. And, so then you start to think like, okay, what don't I know about this respective business that a broker in that space could help me?
Right.
Do I want to pay those types of commissions, those types of retainer fees to help me find it? I don't know, and so that's why I said it's another kind of decision point. The other thing is it going back to the last episode, which was, well, why are you doing it in the first place? I don't have there's not a sense of urgency in the sense it could sell while I'm waiting, but I want to make sure all the T's are crossed, I's are dotted, and that I feel like, okay, if I'm moving full steam ahead and I invest, whether it's a healthy sum of money or a portion of the money, that I'm dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's before I move forward.
So we talk about it. In theory, you're dealing with it. You love pool. You're good at it. You love leagues. How much are you pulling the emotion away and have to say, I have to be very objective? Are you constantly reminding yourself? Because I'm sure you would love to do this.
Absolutely. It's a great question. 100%. I'm separating the emotion from it and the fact that it's a business. So I think Brian again said an episode or two ago, hey, everybody that wants to buy a business, I'd love to own a pizza joint, go sit in there and have a piece of pizza, whatever. It's like, but are you really prepared for everything that comes with owning a pizza business? Like, do you know the ins and outs of it? Do you have someone that's good that can run it? Are you going to run it? Do you know what you should know? For me, it's a great question. I'm separating it because I am pulled in the direction of, I really love the game of pool and billiards and love the idea of leagues and tournaments and everything there. And there's so much upside potential, but it's still a business and it's still a large investment. And I don't want to lose any money. Right. So,
see, and I would think, I don't know if you're doing it or not, but when it comes to diligence, it's like I would be go into other pool halls that don't necessarily compete and trying to talk to the owners and managers. So if you're getting into a business that you've run businesses before, you've owned businesses before, but not this particular type, and saying, hey, what are your challenges? You know, what are the upsides? When I used to work in the video rental business, I was at a franchise company, and I always thought it was crazy that people would invest $250,000, $500,000 of their own money in a franchise and had never come into one of our stores and talked to a manager and said, hey, you know, I'm thinking of buying a franchise. What do I need to know? What's the good? What's the bad? It's like, that's the first thing I would do is I want to understand. Or like you said, if you know you're going to bring somebody who's done it before, then you lean on them and say,
No, that's a really good
here?
point. If you're not asking local businesses, I mean, if you guys remember when we talked to Frank DeGrassi over at Mama Onesta's, and he said before he started his Italian restaurant, he reached out to GMs and owners and managers of probably 4 or 5 restaurants and just said, what's working, what's not working, what do you know, what have you learned that has been, you know, your biggest nightmare, what's been the biggest opportunity. So yeah, we absolutely,
especially if you're like a lot of people are moving out of corporate world. They're, you know, a director or VP of marketing or a head of sales, and they're like, okay, I'm done working for someone else. I'm going to own my own business. You especially need to get advice because, you know, you're jumping into an ownership role, not a functional role at the company. Not, you know, you're going to be responsible for payroll and hiring and firing people and their livelihoods and stuff like that. It's a different position that you're in that if you haven't been in before, the fun of owning a business that you're passionate about or that fits your lifestyle, you know, could really mess things up. I mean, you've seen it 100 times. So many people leave corporate, they buy into a business, and then 6 months later they're back, you know, looking for safe harbor at a corporation where they have insurance and they don't have to wake up and worry about cash flow, or, you know, I can't hire because the minimum wage thing, there's no kids available to work here, or God knows what else pops up that they weren't aware of because they were coming from someplace different.
You know,
they're coming at it from a patron's view.
You know, one thing I was thinking about that I've just realized is when I pursue a business, any business, I don't ever go into it solo. I just realized that. Like,
interesting.
I did notice you said you had partners here. I
would not entertain this business if it was solely me, no matter if it was a home run or not.
Yeah.
Just because I cannot commit to it 100%. And I think part of the plan has to be whoever's running it day to day. If you don't have a plan B, what if that person goes down? What happens? Is the business then just come to a screeching halt because you don't have another partner? You don't have another person that can run it day to day? I cannot. And so that's part of it with me as well, is that what happens in the event you're going to buy a business, you're going to start a business, you're going to have somebody run it, and then that person that runs it can't, for whatever reason.
Right.
What happens? And that's why, to me, it's always been important in any business I've ever considered opening. I always do it with at least a partner, if not multiple partners. Because I feel like if everybody's got a vested stake in it, there's going to be points where, you know, Matt's not in 100% at that time. He's got to be pulled away by someone. Brian's pulled away, or I'm pulled away. But someone is always worried about the business. And that's the way I view it. Now, that people could argue that and say, well, I don't get to then enjoy the splendors, the 100% ownership. I don't want that. I don't want that drama, that headache, that stress, 100%. So I would just tell aspiring entrepreneurs that are out there, if you start a business, buy a business or start one, consider starting with a partner. It's just less overall stress. I believe it is. And I can't imagine having started by your side or any other companies I started, real estate businesses. I wouldn't have been able to start without a partner, because a lot of times you have to lean on the other person, one way, psychologically, financially, just bouncing ideas. I don't know how you feel about that, you guys, on that, but.
No, I agree. I actually think one of the best models I've seen out there that I really appreciate is, you know, when somebody's been successful opening, you know, we're spending a lot of time on like retail and hospitality, but open several locations, even if it's a furniture store or something. The management team that they have in place, if they're successful, they support them if they ever go out and say, you know what, I've I've been doing this 15 years. I want to own a furniture store, or I want to own a sandwich shop, or whatever. And the guy who did the original business says, I'll tell you what, I'll fund you because I know you've got the operational expertise, and I'll help you get up on your feet and running, minimize some of the risk for you, expose you to some of the back office stuff that you may not be exposed to. To me, that's a great model, because then this guy gets ownership of exponentially more locations, minority ownership, but he knows the investment is going to provide a great ROI because he's already got the right people and they're going to take ownership of it. And
I completely agree, 100%.
Tyra Banks, another great model. So when you guys, when we talked about selling your business, I was surprised how early you said you should get maybe a lawyer or an attorney. Now, when you're buying a business, is that same relationship or same rules apply, or you don't have to bring in an attorney that early at this point?
So, it's funny. A big reason I had suggested this topic was when we were doing selling your business, I had several people say to me, the guy who's buying my business is a neighbor or a cousin or a guy I used to work with. He doesn't ask all the questions that you guys are talking about. And then I'm like, he probably should. And so if you don't know the right questions to ask, you absolutely should get an attorney, because at some point, and we'll probably end this episode with it, you have to do a sales agreement. And that sales agreement is to protect your ass against hidden liabilities, hidden liens, hidden problems that you would never think of, but an attorney's seen it a million times. Those have all got to be covered in a written agreement. If you just say, hey, I love the business, you answered a few of my questions, you gave me the cocktail napkin, here's a check for $1 million.
That's what you say.
Asking for
caveat emptor.
So let's break it down. Caveat emptor means that when you buy something, especially in a private or as a sale, it's up to you, the buyer, to inspect the product and make sure it meets your needs. If you discover a problem after the purchase, you may not have legal grounds to get your money back, unless the seller actively misled you or violated a warranty.
Yeah, buyer beware.
Because
from the Brady Bunch, right? That goes back to when you're kids.
You have no idea if you don't ask those questions. Like, what are you getting into? You could be signing up for an exclusivity agreement. You could be signing up for a non-compete. You could be signing up for consents required for this. You could be tied to a vendor that you have no idea that you're tied. All these things pop up after the fact. So if you're not doing, and that's what I'm saying, we're not even in that level.
Skeletons in the closet.
Skeletons in the closet. Yeah. So, I think getting back to it, you got to start asking the questions right up front, though. Why is the owner selling? What? And if there's not a legitimate reason, it's not like if someone's, business is great, but I need to exit. I'd be a little bit, but why are you exiting? I think Brian said earlier,
I've made too much money. It's someone else's turn.
I think one of the questions Brian you'd asked earlier is about like vendors and employees. We brought up key employees, but is there key vendors that have to be part of the decision? Like, are there any vendors that you've relied on? Are they on handshake deals? Are they under contracts? Do they have any levels of commitment? Are there any minimum commitment levels? Again, it could be for any business.
A lot of times you find out the vendors are actually relatives. Oh, it's my cousin's law firm. Oh, it's my sister's accounting firm that's done all the accounting. It's like, oh, okay. I'm going to bring in my own
think, Brian, you talked
accountant.
about the customers. Customers are important. Are you inheriting a customer or a revenue stream that you can essentially bank on? Are they long-term contract customers? Are they reoccurring customers that are returning often? Are they customers that you got to now go find?
Hey, we had a whole episode on this. Do they have subscriptions, contracts, or are they, like you said, long-standing leagues, or are they, because that's a big one. If you're buying the business for the cash flow and the cash flow walks out the door the day the previous owner leaves because, they were all there because of that guy or because of something he did years ago, that's a major F up in buying a business if you didn't understand that. Like your Sarky example. Like you buy Sarky's because it's so successful and then the chef leaves, or people were only going there because Sarky's so cool at the counter,
or you can't use the key ingredients of maybe he's got a trademark on his
You were going to say
meal.
meatloaf, weren't you?
No. And his disaster sausage or his Loretta sandwich. I mean, you can't use it. You have no idea until you do the diligence, right? So, I would say too, and you brought up one other thing about do you use a broker or go at it directly? We're going at it directly right now, but it's probably because I can answer the question, do you feel like you're a subject matter expert as it relates to the questions you have to find out about business? If you don't feel comfortable talking financials, if you don't feel comfortable talking about expenses, about revenues, about customers, marketing, advertising, all the aspects of business, if you don't feel comfortable talking about that, then you better go get somebody that can help you do that, right? Because part of the reason why I feel like I have a good pulse on the things I have to ask, and I just haven't done them yet, but I know what I have to ask. This is a question of making time and commitment and going after it. So
I'll tell you another one that we ran into a lot when we were buying companies. Again, different. We were acquiring companies, but if I was buying a company flat out, when you get into operations, there's always systems, whether it's a point of sale system or a customer relationship management system or an ERP system. And I would say, did you build that? Did you build that software? Like, oh yeah. And you own it. Oh yeah. They build it for us. It's like, really? Can we see that paperwork? Because invariably, sellers think they own stuff that they don't actually own. They got a license to it, or they don't have access to
kind of like Zillow with photographs that they didn't
exactly.
They had access to, but they
don't own them. There's a lot of that kind of stuff that you just, if you assume you're going to get into the business, the software is going to break or it's going to need an upgrade, and you're going to call somebody and they're going to go, we don't support that software anymore, or that was discontinued a year ago. And because every business now runs on some kind of software somewhere, and a lot of it's old, a lot of it's legacy stuff. If you can go in and replace it all with AI, great. But if the business is dependent on some kind of billing system that you don't actually know who wrote it or where it came from, or you're locked into a contract, with one of these SaaS providers, the Roach Motels, where once you're in, you can never get out, and they just keep raising your rates every year. Because I feel like we're doing a lot of what to look out for as a buyer, but we're in that section. Like, you are going to close this deal. Once you're confident, you've made your offer.
And listen, it goes back to the point where we talked about there's 12, 15 things that excite me about the business, but I'm at the preliminary stage of diligence where the things that scare you come up, the liabilities, the things that would derail you as a buyer. Like, okay, I'm seeing that. Ooh, boy, that's scary. What about this? That's concerning. What about that? So all the things you were excited about where you said, hey, you're leaning 50-50. At one point, I was 80-20 in favor of it. And I've come back the other direction, swung the other direction to probably 40%. And now I've come back to 50-50. And, every time you talk about a term or a liability or a risk, it's like 1 or 2 points the other direction, What do you think Ray would say over a game of pool? What do you think the single biggest thing in diligence, Brian?
And Ray loves pool.
He does love pool.
I would think he's probably owned a pool hall or two.
He knows how to handle it.
What do you think would be the single biggest thing, Brian, that, from a diligence standpoint? The one thing, like, don't forget this. Financials, tight financials.
Really putting me on the spot.
I think
location, competition.
I think Ray's a systems guy. I think he'd say, check out the systems. What are they running on?
Could be. To me, it really depends on why you're buying the business.
He's so big on point of sale. Always point of sale. He's always talking point of sale with us. How important it was. The handwritten receipts. You can't use handwritten receipts. So funny.
I'll tell you what I'd say. Liabilities are like landmines. They're all over the place. Brad's got it right. One day, a deal makes sense. Next day, you step wrong and the whole thing blows up. Nice break. 12 ball, corner pocket. 14 ball, cross side. 11 ball, side pocket. My advice? Deep dive the financial trends. Not just today. Where's it headed? Sliding downhill or on an upswing? 9 ball, side pocket. 13 ball, corner pocket. That rosy bow on the present might be the front door to disaster. 10 ball, corner pocket. 15 ball, corner pocket. I bought my first bar with handwritten receipts, sloppy financials, and trouble hiding under the surface. Where there's smoke, there's usually fire. So check the books, check the liabilities, check the trend. Thanks for checking in, boys. Good advice for the audience, as always. 8 ball, 3 rails, off the 1, side pocket. Wait for it, wait for it. Rack 'em, Dano.
But what do you think, Brett? What is it?
I don't think there's a single answer. I think it's directly related to why you're buying the business. If it's because of location, is it because of the clients? Is it because of the reputation? Is it because of the potential upside? That's where you got to focus most of your questions on the diligence. Confirm my assumptions for this particular opportunity or business, and then secondarily protect against the risks. Those are kind of the standard diligence. But the main one is, are my assumptions about how this could be successful correct?
Correct. Yeah.
And go to a lot of sources. Don't just count on the owner to tell you, yeah, no, it's a great neighborhood, and people are spending more money on pool. There's some report somewhere that says pool's a growing activity and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, it's good. We'll see how it. Let's see how it compares to 30
So
rates.
could you make an offer that we could talk about in the next episode so we can
I don't know by the next episode.
So one thing is you have choices, but the buyer always has choices. So you could at some point just go, you know what? I'm still going to buy a pool hall, just not this one.
That's exactly right. But you could buy an existing business, this one that I'm talking about, or we could start one from scratch, like we talked about, growing a business from the ground floor. Either one. I don't have a sense of urgency to do it. I want to do it right. And I do feel compelled to get those questions answered. Are my assumptions I'm making right? And I'm not anywhere near that point yet, but I will go through those steps.
Well, we are not done with this conversation. So hit that subscribe button so you can see all your episodes come through and we can make new ones. But we are going to talk one more on this. It's yours. Now what? Yeah. So
yeah, congratulations.
Yeah.
No,
just inherited.
The dog caught the car. Now what are you going to do?
That's a good
There it
example.
is. There it is. Good one. We'll see you guys next Friday.
Have a good weekend.
Baldi's Billiards.